Hi, I'm Kristen McDonald, once again registered dietitian presenting some recipes in partnership with Better Health. Tonight I am going to be preparing homemade applesauce in the slow cooker. This is so easy, very fall appropriate, and I hope you and your families love this. So I have chosen to use Gala apples. They, as I did some research, are recommended to be the apple to use for unsweetened applesauce. And I guess that's because they come with a fair amount of sweetness already. However, you can experiment with a mixture of apples or your favorite apples. If you like a little bit of a tartar flavor, certainly try a tartar apple. I read that Macintosh apples also work really well for this recipe, as do ginger gold apples. So if you have the opportunity to pick your own apples this season and get a new variety, I recommend that you experiment with this recipe and try what you like. So first, I did some of this off camera to save you the time of watching me peel 5 Gala apples, but they were all about this size. I'd say about a medium-sized apple, and I would say to use 6 medium-sized apples. If you think that they are a little on the smaller side, then round up to 8. This recipe does well with kind of improvising a little bit on measurements, so I think using your judgment, if you'd like to use a little bit more, a little bit less, that will be fine as well. The apples do really cook down quite a bit, so that's something to keep in mind. But this is what the 5 sliced up Gala apples look like in my slow cooker. And I'm gonna peel one here for you. I just use a paring knife. It's pretty sharp, so watch your fingers. I like to show you how the kids can help in a few steps, but I think this is probably best for adults to do, especially depending on the age of your kids. Now, every time I peel an apple, I think of my grandmother. She was a big baker, and something she always tried to do was create what she called a cuckoo apple peel. Oh, and I've already failed. But my kids think this is really fun. If I try to peel the apple in one swoop, don't worry if you can't do this, the applesauce will still taste great. And clearly I'm failing here, but it really gets them kind of interested if I have to have them around for this step in watching me peel the apples. So I'm gonna just quickly peel the rest of this here. It's okay if you take some of the flesh off with it. You're still gonna end up, and it's okay also if some of the skin remains behind. I have seen homemade applesauce recipes that actually call to leave the skin on, and that can give the applesauce a really pink and rosy color as well. And that changes the final texture. But that's another thing that you could experiment with, is leaving the skins on if you think that's something you'd enjoy. So you certainly could continue with the paring knife and slice it up probably into about 6 or 8 slices would be best to get the size that I have in my slow cooker. But I bought this tool when I had my kids start helping me with things like homemade applesauce, apple crisps, apple pies, because even though it is sharp, they can put their hands on the rubber grips and really help me slice the apples. So you just kind of place this apple slicer, apple corer over the stem, and you can kind of wiggle it to try to get it even as much as possible, and then push down. And that gets you 8 slices, and sometimes you have to trim, especially if you get into the core there a little bit, you have to trim away, but this one looks pretty good. I'm gonna leave that little bit of skin and put it right in my slow cooker, ready to go. Now the apples are gonna give off a bit of water as they cook, but I don't like to put anything in my slow cooker without adding some water. So for the 6 to 8 apples, I will add about half a cup of water. And if you can watch while it's cooking and see if you might need to add a little bit more, that's great. If you can't, that's fine too. It's actually the evening here, and I'm going to set this overnight and let it cook and have some fresh applesauce in the morning when we wake up, so I'm not concerned about watching it and adding more water. Something that you can do, but you do not have to do, is add a squirt or 2 of lemon juice to the apples. That is going to give just a little bit of a brightness of flavor and give some acidity and it can be a really nice touch, but once again, it's optional. It is not a requirement for this recipe. So it doesn't look all that different, but you can see that there's a little bit of liquid in there now. And I am just going to set my slow cooker to low and 8 hours. Cover it up and let it go overnight. I like to add cinnamon to my applesauce, but I like to do that after the apples have cooked. Once these are done in the morning, I'm going to be able to go in with a fork and just break them up. There's nothing else I need to do, no special equipment. I can achieve the texture I want. You can leave it a bit chunkier or you can make it smoother. That is how tender they will be. I like to start with adding half a teaspoon of cinnamon, because we tend to like more cinnamon in my family. Usually I up that to about a teaspoon, but I would recommend taste testing it first to see if you like it. The apples are going to vary quite a bit in their sweetness. Last year I made a batch that I didn't have to add any sugar to, and the most recent batch I made, I did end up adding a teaspoon of sugar. Again, after I cooked it, after I added the cinnamon, just to achieve that final taste that I wanted. But my goal is to sweeten as little as possible. A lot of commercial applesauces you buy have sugar added to them. I like being able to create one that has no sugar added. If you do want to buy in the store without sugar, you have to specifically look for an applesauce that is labeled unsweetened. And you can read the ingredients label as well to see that sugar is not contained in the ingredients. This applesauce, like I said, we're going to enjoy it at breakfast tomorrow. It can also go really well with a pork dish. Apples and pork go great together, so enjoy it warm or enjoy it chilled as well. This is what the final product looks like. This is a batch I made a day or two ago, and I've been storing it in the fridge. It gets really kind of brown in color just from the method of cooking the apples, and also because I added a lot of cinnamon. So it's really, really tasty, even a couple days later. And that's about how long I would say to keep it in the fridge, maybe 5 to 7 days refrigerated. I am also going to share with you a craft that we have enjoyed doing with my kids. We've been making a lot of stained glass art, and I thought making one using the apple shape would be really beautiful this time of year. Not only is it something that they enjoy, but I love displaying these around my house. So you can get some clear contact paper. I have found this in stores like Walmart and Target. I've also ordered it on Amazon, and it's just a sticky paper that you can easily peel away the backing. I say easily, and I'll probably struggle. No, it peels away pretty easily. So you're just gonna cut a piece about this big, and then I used a single sheet of red construction paper to just cut out a general apple shape. And you can stick that right on the contact paper once it's peeled. I also cut out a stem and a leaf. Now my kids are 4, but again, depending on the age of your kids, they may be able to cut out these shapes themselves. And I stuck those right on the contact paper. And then I got some tissue paper, because you can see through that when you put this in the window, and cut it into just rough squares and let the kids place it all around the apple. I had more than just red and green, but I thought, well, if people have tissue paper left over from Christmas, these are great colors to use. So these may be things you have around the house, maybe not the contact paper, but you could get that and then have the construction paper and the tissue paper. And then you put another piece of contact paper the same size over top and cut out the apple shape. And this is what my 4-year-old twins created today. So I will display these in my window, and we'll probably leave them up for the fall, and then maybe make new ones come winter time. So hopefully the craft and applesauce are things that you can enjoy and get the family involved in, and really get ready for the fall season that is ahead of us. Thank you.